Hi! It's been a little bit. How are you doing? How are we all doing? Well, I'm back and I am excited to embark on this new video with you guys. So I know the last time we chatted it was fall and I was working on the Carrie Weight of Blood idea, which unfortunately is still in the works. I'm still in the process of editing that video, so I am so sorry that it's taking this long. I really want to get it out, but I want to just make sure that it's edited right. And also too, I've had a lot of work stuff going on, which kind of resulted in me not exactly reading as many books in the fall, but I still made my goal of on Goodreads, and I actually ended up reading 60 books. But between the time I made the Carrie Weight of Blood video and now, there have just been a lot of books that haven't necessarily clicked with me in a good way, and I just haven't really enjoyed their outcomes, and it just kind of left me wishing that I probably could have just gone back and actually read the books that I enjoyed and hope for maybe continuing on with a series or just feeling that spark again, because I'm kind of in a reading slump right now. So I think one of the reasons why I had a lot of fun filming the Carrie Weight of Blood video was that it allowed me to reread a book that I loved, and I figured I want to kind of end 2023 and go into 2024 rereading books that I enjoyed and seeing if they still hold true to their rating. So because it is nearing the end of Christmas time and going into the new year, I figured what better way to start this video than with Dash and Lily's Book of Dares. This is a young adult romance set around Christmas time in New York City. So it basically involves a journal that's filled with a bunch of dares that goes back and forth between our two main characters, Dash and Lily, and it may lead to romance, it may lead to chaos, who knows? I mean, I know what happens, but... So I already got this started last night. I'm about 14 pages in, but I'm very excited to keep going and see if my 4-star rating still holds true, or maybe it actually is a 5-star rating, or maybe it's 3 stars or lower. Who knows? I'm gonna let this reading experience sort of guide my way. So I'm gonna keep reading this and I will check back in with you later. Well, hello again. It's still the same setup, it's still the same me, but it's now 2024, so Happy New Year! So I am about 2/3 of the way through Dash and Lily's Book of Dares. I read a good amount of this book on New Year's Day. I think I got to about page 166. So I still have the last third of it to go. We just probably got to like maybe the, I don't know if you would necessarily call it a third act conflict, but when they finally meet. So I'm at that part right now and I'm kind of breezing hopefully through it. So like I said, this story does follow two teenagers in New York City, pretty much running around following their little moleskin journal of these extreme dares across popular stores like FAO Schwartz and museums like Madame Tussauds, and just doing these insane challenges in there to try to find the next clues. And they're having all their friends help them out, and they're trying to figure out if they can even meet in real life or if their romance is just limited to what's being written down in the journal. So it's been really kind of fun going back to reread it and see all of the insanity that ensues with this novel. I don't really 100% know if I'm connecting as much with Dash and Lily this time around. When I first read this book a couple of years ago, I knew I had a little bit of trouble connecting, but I still really enjoyed their development in their characters, both individually and together. I think this time around now, I'm kind of seeing a little bit more of the flaws in each of them, and I think it's just made it a little bit hard to want to root for them individually. And I get that they're growing up and that it's all part about being a teenager, is that you're starting to rebel and have these existential thoughts and starting to challenge the beliefs you grew up with. And it's completely understandable. It's just more, I think I'm just having a harder time relating to it now that I am an adult and I'm not reading this through the eyes of a teenager. So, and it may just be that I've just grown out of the young adult genre, but this still definitely has 5 out of 5 for the vibes. It still is a very fun holiday story. It's very fun to go and to read at the end of the year, going into the new year. So I know where this is going because, again, I've already read it. So hopefully I can try to pound this out tonight or at least by this weekend. And I will provide another update for then. All right, book 1 is complete. Dash and Lily are being put to rest. First book is done. I finally finished Dash and Lily this morning, and I just realized I'm kind of color coordinating with the outfit a little bit. But yeah, it was cute. It was still very fun and definitely still has all the fun holiday vibes, despite the fact that my house is now no longer Christmas. I think I still had a little bit of trouble trying to push through it at the end because I know there were a couple days that I skipped reading, and I don't know if it's just because of the reading slump kind of that I'm in, or if it's just because I wasn't as fully 100% attached to the characters this time around, but I still really wound up enjoying it. It was still cheesy and wholesome and fun, so I still gave it a 4 stars, so that rating still stands. So congrats, Dash and Lily, you are safe, so you can now go back into the bunkhouse. Why does this sound like I'm doing something for The Bachelor? Time to move on to book number 2. So this one, I didn't realize I still had on my shelf, but I remember I enjoyed it in college. This one is Sweet Bitter by Stephanie Danler. This follows a young 20-something girl that's about to become a waitress for a very high-class restaurant in New York. So this is kind of detailing her life and the people that she's interacting with and her work at the restaurant, and it's a little spicy, a little chaotic, but I remember really enjoying it. So this is back when I was like still into the baby stages of being a reader. So this is a 5-star read. We're gonna have to see how this stands now, but it's fiction, like general fiction, and I haven't read a general fiction book in a long time, so I figured why not give it a whirl with this, and hopefully it still is good. Alright, anyway, Sweet Bitter, let's do it. Well, hello again. It's been quite some time since we chatted, and I am now 75%-ish of the way through Sweet Bitter. So I know I probably could have filmed a lot more updates, but I was just so caught up with work and also trying to get this book read through. I know, like I said in my last update, that when I first read this book, I gave it 5 stars, and I don't know if that's still the case for this book. And I honestly think it's probably just because, like I said, when I was first reading this book, that I wasn't really as much of a reader back then, and I guess I just liked how it was written. I liked the descriptions. I think the way Stephanie Danler describes food and taste in this book is immaculate, and you just want to dive in with these characters and just eat whatever it is that they're eating in this expensive restaurant. But I think what I'm really noticing is how horrible the characters are in this. So fun fact about me, I used to be a server and I worked with my family's restaurant, and while my experiences are nowhere in comparison to what our main girl Tess is going through, I definitely get a lot of the feelings that she's going through now that I'm kind of on the other side of it, especially when it comes to having to process and understand all of the requirements of being in the food industry. So there's parts where I do get what Tess is going through, and other times where, now that I'm on the other side of it, just sort of being like, girly pop, what are you doing? I get it, but at the same time, it's difficult to see her go through it and to not be able to reach out and provide that support and be like, yo, wake up, this isn't good for you. And I think in a lot of ways it is just sort of hard to get through a lot of that. I think it still is definitely a good book, but I just don't know if it still is at that same 5-star level that I had at before. But for all I know, it probably could change between now and me finishing up this book. So I'm gonna keep reading, and I will get back to you when I'm done. So see you later. Good morning. It's coffee time before I head off to work, but I just wanted to do an update before I left. I finished Sweet Bitter yesterday, and I think the writing is still amazing. I'm still not really 100% invested in the characters per se, and I don't know if I like Tess 100% in this. I think that's kind of the point of the book. And like I mentioned, I am viewing this from the other side of having done food service, and how I view literature has matured a lot more since I first read this. So again, I'm not really sure how to feel about this book quite yet, so I don't know how I'm gonna rate this right now. Hopefully I can make up my mind before the end of the video, but this book is now done. But I know one of the things I definitely can say that I was realizing when I was finishing up this book is that how quickly I was trying to get through it, which I know I was reading this book a lot slower than I normally do, but I definitely wanted to get to the end because I finally ordered my last book that I need for this video, because one of the ones I was going to do was Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King, but it was not available yet on Libby. But I instead got myself Ninth House, Lee Bardugo. I'm so excited. I have not read this book since COVID. I gave my only copy of this book that I had to one of my friends, and I've been really wanting to reread this book for so long, simply because I want to continue on with the series. It's a great story. I think it's a great idea. I am really excited to get back into this world, and I'm hoping that it will live up to its high rating that I gave it the first time. So here we go. Ninth House. Welcome back. It's some point of when I last recorded, but I just got back from my haircut, so my hair's all done because I'm going to see Hadestown tonight with my sister, and she's gonna be crashing with me for the night, so I'm getting this room prepped for her. But I wanted to quickly talk Ninth House. So I don't know if you can tell from my bookmark, I'm like halfway through-ish, so I'm just, again, I think I'm just trying to take it a little bit more slowly, just for the sake of picking up on details that I didn't really pick up on before. So this book is still amazing. I still love this world. I love Alex, I love Dawes, I still love Darlington, and it's just interesting to see how laced it is in its detail. And even though I already know what's gonna happen, it's just interesting to see how the characters sort of talk about the situations before the reveal at the end. I don't want to give it away just because it's so layered and it's just amazing. I will admit there are parts that are kind of a little bit slow in here, like a lot about Darlington's background and a little bit of Alex's, but I understand why it's critical to explaining who they are and how they ended up in Leif, which is the ninth house here. But anyway, yeah, I'm still gonna keep going with this. Honestly, I kind of need to pick up the pace of my own reading just because I know I am kind of slowing down. And I really do want to continue to read more because I've got a bunch of books that I still need to get through for the beginning of the year. One of the books that I'm hoping to do for my next video, which is following up on series or completing them, is The Atlas Complex by Olivia Blake, and I finally can borrow it on Libby. I'm so excited. I've been listening to the audiobooks for the Atlas 6 series since last year, and since her new book just came out, it's the final one, and I finally have the audiobook for it through Libby, so I'm probably gonna be reading that or listening to it while I'm trying to finish up Ninth House. But I'll go into more detail on the Atlas Complex in another video, so hopefully I can get through Ninth House and give you my opinions or give you a little bit more of a time-lapse reading. So I will keep going and I will check with you later. Good morning. It's now February something and I have like that much left of Ninth House. So there was a lot of stuff that I honestly forgot that happened in it, which has been really a pleasant surprise because I know the ending, but it's just sort of more of the setup of how it gets there that's been really fun to go back and reread. And like with the other books, I am reading probably maybe a little bit of a slower pace, probably just to like pick up on the details that I didn't get before, while also just trying to balance my work-life schedule. So yeah, I still think it's definitely somewhere around the high 4-star, 5-star rating. I just don't know 100% yet if it's true 5 stars, but if it's rounded up to that, it could probably be reasonable. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna hopefully try to finish this before I go to work today. So catch up with y'all later. Okay, so I finished Ninth House yesterday morning before I went off to work. I still really love this series. I am very excited to read the sequel, Hellbent, once I get my hands on it. But regarding the rating, I will unfortunately have to say that it probably has gone down to 4 stars. But I think the second time around, I was probably paying a little bit more attention to the structure of the story and the details. And I feel like there's some parts that were kind of a little info dumpy at times, and sort of like how things were paced out or structured within telling the narrative for both Alex and Darlington was a little off for me. But again, I don't want to spoil anything because you really should read it. Just please be cautious of the content in here, and please read up on the trigger warnings because there are quite a handful. So yeah, I think right now this is probably like maybe a 4.25 star rating, but it still is one of my favorite series of all time. And like I said, I need to read the sequel at once so I can catch up on the world of Alex Stern and get back to see the Leith House thriving again. So I think that completes my challenge for rereading books that I absolutely adored. So I think really the only book that kind of stuck with its rating was Dash and Lily's Book of Dares, while Sweet Bitter and Ninth House unfortunately kind of went down from the first time I read it. And like I stated earlier in the video, it's more of a matter of not that I don't love the stories anymore. I think it's just because the way that I think about the stories has changed. I want to find a good book, and I want to make sure that I can really get into the story while also appreciating the structure and the way the characters are developed. And I think it's kind of made me a little bit more critical of what I read. So I don't know necessarily if that's a bad thing or if it's just because of how my brain works. But even then, there still are plenty of 4-star books that, while they may not be the most perfect books on planet Earth, they're probably some of my favorite books of all time. And while either way, I still find 5-star books and they don't end up at the top of my list. Like, it just depends on what I'm thinking at the time and then how my opinions change too. Either way, I had a great time with this challenge, and I think it was just good for me to go back into books that I adored and see what stayed the same in my opinion, or what I was looking for the second time around, and just to see how it changed or if I still love the books, which I think I still do. But you know what? It was a fun experiment, so I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I started 2024 rereading books I adored and seeing my little scientific experiment come to life. So I think I'm gonna cap the video off here. But yeah, thank you for sticking out with me. Thank you for being so patient with me. And I'm back, and I am excited to keep making more content for y'all. So I will see you very soon, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye! And wait for it.